The financial awakening surrounding Alex Eala's commercial empire has reached a point of no return, and what the world is now witnessing is no longer simply a sports story unfolding on a tennis court. What we are watching in real time is the birth of an entirely new kind of global power player, one who is rewriting the rules of how a young athlete builds and controls a fortune. Behind the sealed doors of Nike's sprawling world headquarters deep in the heart of Oregon, a landmark partnership agreement was quietly executed that has sent tremors through every locker room and boardroom connected to the WTA Tour. The brutal truth that commentators and financial analysts are scrambling to fully absorb is that Alex Eala has officially crossed the threshold from promising talent to premium global commodity, taking her rightful place in the elite circle where billionaire thinking and athletic brilliance collide. While the majority of players her age are grinding for regional sponsorships and small local deals, Alex has seized the full attention of the planet's most powerful sportswear corporation, landing a contract rumored to dwarf the career earnings of players who have spent years grinding inside the top 10. This is not a simple logo placement arrangement. This is a full sovereign partnership in which Alex Eala becomes the living, breathing centerpiece of Nike's ambitious new Asian market expansion strategy. A move so aggressive and deliberate that rival brands including Adidas and Yonex have been left scrambling and completely destabilized. The level of ceremony extended to Alex during her visit to the Nike campus was something rarely witnessed even for athletes carrying multiple Grand Slam titles. As she walked through those legendary hallways lined with the legacies of icons like Michael Jordan and Serena Williams, the message being broadcast to the entire sporting industry was unmistakable. This young woman is being positioned for total global domination. Insiders with direct knowledge of the negotiations are reporting that buried within the contract is a landmark clause granting Alex her very own signature product line, an honor historically extended only to the most financially elite athletes on the planet, figures in the same commercial stratosphere as Naomi Osaka. The entire sports marketing world is in a state of collective shock, because the underlying data reveals something that brand executives have never seen at this scale from a player at her ranking. When Alex Eala dons a particular kit or piece of gear, online search volume for that product explodes by more than 400%, generating a commercial wave that every major brand on earth is desperate to ride. This extraordinary consumer gravity is precisely why her market valuation has undergone a stunning transformation from a figure in the hundreds of thousands to a multi-million-dollar portfolio in the span of a single financial quarter. Financial insiders, who have been quietly dismantling her numbers, are arriving at results that are stopping entire rooms cold. When you combine the prize money already accumulating at historic levels following her performance at Indian Wells with the full weight of this new Nike agreement, Alex Eala is on a documented trajectory to become the youngest self-made billionaire athlete in the recorded history of the Philippines. The lifestyle infrastructure being assembled around her is nothing short of extraordinary. We are discussing a world that includes private jet travel for her and her entire support team, access to elite recovery and medical facilities that carry hourly costs most players could not afford in a week, and a surrounding support architecture that mirrors the personal empires built by legends like Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal over decades of dominance. This is the Eala Empire, not as a future ambition but as a present-tense operating reality. The deeper truth that most observers are missing is that Alex has stopped playing purely for trophies. She is now engaged in the deliberate and calculated construction of a generational legacy, one designed to provide financial security and national inspiration for decades beyond her last professional match. Every powerful forehand she unleashes on tour is now backed and amplified by the financial muscle of a global corporate machine that has made an institutional decision that she represents the future of the entire sport. The tennis establishment is genuinely rattled, because this tier of commercial recognition has traditionally been reserved for athletes who have already collected multiple major titles. Alex has completely shredded that convention. She has demonstrated beyond any reasonable argument that her national reach, her cultural symbolism, and her relentless competitive spirit carry more weight in the global commercial marketplace than any single trophy sitting on a shelf. As she prepares for the Miami Open, she is simultaneously carrying the enormous weight and opportunity of a multi-million-dollar portfolio that demands nothing less than consistent excellence. The pressure of that dual responsibility would fracture most athletes before they reached her age. But Alex does not bend under pressure, she feeds on it. While critics spent their energy fixating on a 6-0 scoreline in the desert, Alex was quietly and methodically locking down her financial future and cementing the commercial foundations of Philippine tennis for generations to come. The brutal reality governing the modern global sports market is this: raw talent earns you a glance, but national cultural influence is what transforms an athlete into a billionaire institution. What we are currently observing with Alex Eala's commercial explosion is a textbook illustration of that principle in action. While the global media apparatus remained fixated on the scoreboard in California, an entirely different and far more consequential competition was being waged behind closed doors in the luxury boardrooms of New York and Geneva. Sources embedded inside the financial intelligence community are now revealing that the Nike agreement was never the destination. It was the opening move in a comprehensive and seismic restructuring of Alex's entire commercial identity. There are credible reports that two of the world's most exclusive luxury watch houses, brands whose heritage dictates they associate only with the most transcendent figures in sporting history, are currently locked in advanced negotiations to secure the Pinay Dragon as their primary ambassador. This revelation strips away any remaining narrative that positions Alex Eala as a regional champion with limited crossover appeal. The world's most sophisticated luxury investors now see her as a universal high-value asset with unparalleled reach across the fastest-growing consumer markets on the planet. This expanding wealth is not being powered exclusively by sportswear and timepieces. It is being turbocharged by a digital strategy so precise and effective that it has fundamentally dismantled the traditional playbook for how professional athletes monetize their public profile. Every time Alex Eala publishes content across her social media platforms, the internal metrics of every major brand monitoring her account register engagement figures running 500% above what the average top 10 player generates. This almost supernatural connection with the Filipino national community has created a financial current so powerful that major technology corporations and global financial institutions are competing aggressively to secure her as their lead brand ambassador. Consider what it means for a 20-year-old to possess the kind of commercial gravity that can shift the purchasing behavior of millions of people simultaneously. This is the Eala Empire operating at its most expansive and most potent. Conservative projections from credible analysts place her off-court income for 2026 at figures north of $10 million, a number that places her in direct financial company with the most commercially successful female athletes ever to compete in any sport, and she has not yet reached the physical prime of her career. The dimension of this story that most observers are sleeping on is the extraordinary sophistication with which it is all being managed. Alex is not a passive participant collecting checks and signing where she is told. She is an active architect of her own financial future, making deliberate and strategic decisions about where her capital flows. Reports from sources close to her inner circle indicate she is actively constructing a financial fortress anchored by elite real estate holdings in Spain and the Philippines, alongside a private foundation built from the ground up with the explicit mission of dismantling the barriers that have historically prevented Filipino athletic talent from reaching its full potential. This quality of long-term financial vision is the precise dividing line between athletes who burn brightly for a decade and those who build generational dynasties. While external voices attempt to reduce her value to a single bad set, Alex is ascending into a commercial dimension where one match result cannot touch her market worth. Her brand valuation has been hardened against the normal volatility of sporting outcomes because what she has built is grounded not in win-loss records but in cultural identity, grit, and a global appeal that crosses every demographic boundary. The honest and uncomfortable truth for veteran players across the tour is that the competitive threat Alex poses extends far beyond the court. The commercial power she now commands has created an entirely new kind of pressure that no ranking point or title can neutralize. As the spotlight shifts to the blue hard courts of Miami, the escalating story of her commercial status is building towards something historic. The broader market is beginning to understand what the Filipino community has known for years. Alex Eala is not just a tennis player entering a tournament. She is a walking national economic event that transforms every city she competes in into a focal point of Filipino pride and commercial energy. She carries this weight with a composure that speaks to the depth of her support system, the guidance of mentor Rafael Nadal, and the unshakable values instilled in her growing up in Quezon City. The hidden truth about her entire trajectory is that none of the wealth or global recognition has altered who she fundamentally is. She remains the same driven, humble, and intensely focused young woman who earned her place on the world stage through nothing but work and will. The operational reality of the Eala Empire has moved decisively beyond balance sheets and brand deals into the creation of a performance ecosystem that is actively reshaping the structural foundations of elite tennis preparation. While public attention gravitates toward her tournament appearances, the hidden engine driving her ascent is a privately funded support network of a caliber previously accessible only to the players sitting at the absolute summit of the global rankings. Alex has commissioned a dedicated team of data analysts, biomechanical engineers, and elite performance nutritionists who travel with her as a permanent unit to every tournament destination. This investment into her own development is what insiders have begun calling the $15 million performance protocol. By owning and operating her own portable high-performance laboratory, she has freed herself from dependency on shared coaching resources, arriving at every match armed with data-driven intelligence that has already mapped the technical vulnerabilities of every opponent she is likely to face. A private aviation agreement ensures she arrives at every venue having bypassed the fatigue and chaos of commercial travel entirely. The tennis world is absorbing this with stunned recognition because it reveals that this 20-year-old is not navigating a tennis career. She is running a full corporation, reinvesting her returns directly back into the performance infrastructure and creating an accelerating feedback loop of excellence that leaves athletes still sharing physiotherapy appointments in an entirely different competitive universe. When the world was occupied with commentary about her Indian Wells exit, Alex had already returned to her private facility, fed the match data into her analytical system, identified the specific technical flaw responsible, and begun the targeted process of eliminating it permanently. This is the financial and scientific foundation that makes her long-term arc virtually untouchable. The Eala Empire is not approaching its defining moment. It is already living inside it, and the world is only just beginning to catch up.